start the community services meeting at 4:05.
Father, thank you for your mercy and thank you for your grace, and just thank you for the opportunity to serve our nation and guide and lead us, and just be with us as we approach the holidays, and be with our veterans, and just thank you for the freedom that we have to worship and take care of business. In Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Shelley, for roll call.
Yes, sir. Dick Lay,
Here.
Harley Buzzard, Bill England,
Honey.
Keith Austin,
Here.
Joe Byrd,
Honey?
Sean Crittenden,
Honey.
Mike Dobbins,
Here.
Frankie Hargis,
Present.
Wanda Hatfield,
Honey.
Rex Jordan,
Here.
Mike Shambaugh,
Honey.
Mary Bakershaw,
Honey.
E.O. Smith,
Honey.
Janice Taylor,
Here.
Victoria Vasquez, David Walkingstick, Ryan Warner.
Honey.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Like to ask for approval of minutes.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Marcia Lamb.
Marcia's here, isn't she?
Marcia, let me do something first and go ahead and sit down. We've, I think it was last week, we lost a former council member, Bill Johnson,
Yep.
and he was my representative for, I think, 8 years. But I think Buell Anglin knew him a lot closer than I did. Buell, would you like to say a few words about Bill?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Councilman Wade. Yeah, I had the privilege to serve with Bill Johnson on the council his 5 years
Bye.
that we sat on there. And anyway, Bill was he was a statesman. I mean, there's just nobody that was more focused than Bill Johnson. And we represented the old, what we call District 8, which is like Sean's district now, but he got that number from us. So, but Bill and I served the District 8, and which was Tulsa and Washington County, and we just traveled all over the place, you know, to all our different meetings together as a group, and to lose Bill was just, it was just like a ripping your heart out, you know. He just had his 92nd birthday, I believe it was, or 90, I can't remember, it was 90, 92, in September. And they had a big birthday party for him down in Houston. So anyway, Bill's going to be, he's buried down in Houston, the cemetery down there. I can't think of the name of that cemetery. But anyway, Bill was always from up around Dewey. That's where he lived. He had a farm up there. And so after he got off the council, he sold his farm and he went to move down to Houston, him and Joan, his wife. And actually at his age then, I think he's in his early 80s or mid 80s, and he went to work for his cousin, Bud Walton, I believe was his name. And Bud was from up in your area too, Dick. And you know him, so anyway, so Bill just never did really retire until after Bud passed away, just a few years ago, 3 years ago. So Bill finally retired, and I guess he had a stroke on a Thursday night, and they put him in the hospital, and he just never regained conscious. He was, the doctor told Joan that he was pretty much going to be brain dead for the rest of his life, be on a ventilator and life support and everything, and so that wasn't what Bill wanted. So they took him off that, and he survived till that Sunday morning at 3, and he passed away that night. So. But anyway, we lost a good statesman, a good man in our area that I really enjoyed serving with. I mean, just can't imagine how good he was to everybody. So, perfect guy. So, going to be missed.
Appreciate it.
You bet.
Thank you. Okay, Marcia, we're ready for you.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to touch base with you on a few things. This year in our LIHEAP, we just keep growing in that area. We increased it about 300. We serve 300 and 3,314 families under that program. Our Angel Tree, we were able to serve everybody under that. and hopefully that's growing every year. Seems like everybody's getting older. On our school clothing program, we serve, now these are the kids that actually got the clothing. It was 6,488. And on the coat voucher, it was 5,094. Seems like on the coat voucher every year, they don't come back for the coats because I guess they don't outgrow them or anything. So they're always just a little bit behind on that. And our EINs will start in February. And we'll start gearing up again for the school clothing voucher program. And we get 1 year done and start again. So y'all have my report if you have any questions.
Any questions? Good report.
Marcia, you will join us tomorrow, right?
Is food involved?
Yes.
I'll be there.
Thank you, Marcia. Ron Qualls.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Sure is glad to be alive, I'll tell you that. I've been gone for 3 months, 4 months, I think. And it's been difficult at times, but I'm doing very well right now.
Good.
I'm enjoying life. So anyway, I don't have a report for you. This is my first day back. So unless Billy or Michael has something that they want to bring to you guys from the community services, then I really don't have anything. And I will next time for sure, next month. So anyway, I'm just glad to be here. Be honest with you, glad to be here. So if there's some questions, then we'll try to talk about it.
Any questions? Yes, sir, Mike.
For Billy, have you started on the well yet that we talked about?
I checked on that before I came over, and the well driller got pulled off to go down and do some work on the new pavilion that's being built there by the old courthouse. I don't know how long they're going to be there, but as soon as they get done with whatever they're doing there for the pavilion construction, that well will be the first one on their list. That's where they're going to go first.
And the other one will, I guess, is second?
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any others?
Harley?
I got one. And Billy may have already, he did answer this last time he was here, I believe. Let me just try to give you a brief synopsis of what I'm talking about. This person goes out and buys a piece of land that has a home on it or a mobile home on it. The person he buys it from is non-Indian. Put in the application through Billy's program, but Billy can't serve this person because he only has a contract for deed. But Billy's telling me that that's the IHS policies, and I understand that because that's the way it was when I was there. But I guess my question to you, Billy, why can't we serve him with tribal funds? Are we using the same policy that IHS got? Is that what the problem is?
Yeah, we're just following the same policy for both pots of money. And this is actually a very opportune time to talk about this. The IHS policies that we're using were last updated in 1999. They had some minor adjustments in 2003, so they've never been updated after Title V was passed. But we finally received notification that IHS is going to have tribal consultation this spring on revising all of those policies and procedures. The public law that governs us is only 3 pages long. The IHS policies that guide that 3 pages is 206. So we have a 206-page criteria document that governs a 3-page public law. So we're going to go in and revisit a lot of those issues and policies that IHS has in place, and that could be one that I could bring up and see, if there's something that we can do about that.
Okay, in the meantime, I just think that, and I know Billy's only following what IHS policies were, but it doesn't seem right to me where a person could go to a bank, and Billy explained this too. A bank and an individual person is a two different things because a bank can pull that contract in. Still, it just seems like we're missing out, or some of these Indian folks are missing out on getting a well or a septic system because they're buying this land from an individual on contract for deed. Anyway, I just want to bring this up, and maybe Billy at the next IHS meeting can get it worked out to where it can be done for contract for deed, but I think the key was that the person was buying from a non-Indian.
Right.
If the person had been Indian, then we would have drilled the well and put the septic tank and drain field in. I just felt like we were just holding somebody out of getting a sanitation system for that. Although I see the point that IHS was making, because if the guy defaults on it, then he could come and claim the land back and the house and the septic tank and well, and it would really benefit him only. So I see both sides of the story, but hopefully Billy can get this worked out. And if he can't, Billy, I'd like for you to let us know, and I'd like to bring it before this committee again, and maybe to bring it back up and see if we can't change our policy as far as tribal funds goes.
Certainly.
Okay, thank you.
If there was a note on the land similar to a bank, would that make any difference to the criteria, or would it be the same thing?
What drives our policy is that the land has to be owned by an Indian. If both parties to the contract for deed are tribal members, then we treat it just like a lease, and we can go ahead and provide services. But if they're buying it from a corporation, or they're buying it from a non-tribal member, and it's just a contract for deed, then until that contract for deed is fully executed and the deed is transferred, it's technically owned by a non-tribal member. And that's why we can't go in and provide services. Now, if they went and borrowed the money, paid off the contract for deed, and got a deed issued to them, then the property's in their name, it's owned by a tribal member, and we can provide services.
If I bought 10 acres and I took a note from the owner, what difference is that? That's not a contract for deed, that's a note, a legal.
Right.
And,
Now,
no.
I think in your example, they're going to give you a deed, and you're going to have the deed in your name. In this case, it's just a contract for a deed, and they haven't actually transferred title to the person who's applying for services to us.
Well, that's what I'm referring to. If you could get a deed, then you can deal. Then
Yes,
you can
exactly. If you can get a deed in their name, even if there's several names on the deed and the applicant is only one of several, then we can provide services.
Any other questions?
Good to have you back, Ron.
Well, thank you. It's good to be back.
Michael Lynn.
Good afternoon. Merry Christmas. I think everyone has a copy of my report, but just a few things to highlight. First of all, Moonshine Road in Sequoia County is about 12% complete. We are the contractors, what we call processing the existing base, and then they also have begun some paving there along State Highway 82 headed west towards Gore. We expect that project to be completed by the end of December. The Leach Kenwood Road in Delaware County is about 50% complete. They are completing some drainage structures on there, and working on the ag base, and should begin paving after the drainage structures are completed. Honey Hill Road in Adair County, contractors began that project in November here, at the end of November actually. They're clearing and grubbing on that and doing the earthwork, and should be starting work on a box structure on that project very soon as well. Ross Street Road here, located here in the city of Tahlequah, we started right-of-way acquisition on that project. That's the street that leads down to the new clinic where the Hastings expansion. So we are purchasing easements to get that project underway soon. Northeast Fort Gibson project, moving utilities on that that project. It runs between Cherokee and Muskogee County. And then also on White Oak Road, north-south 4340 road we call it. I'm also moving utilities on that. That's up in Craig County. And then lastly, I want to mention Grace Hudlin Road in Cherokee County. We're waiting on the finalization of some right-of-way property that we need on there. There's 5 Indian restricted parcels that we're waiting to get access to, and then 2 parcels we had to turn over to Cherokee County for condemnation, so that we could gain access to those properties as well, so that we could get the road, start moving utilities and get the road built. I was asked earlier by Councilor Hargis about Malloy Holla. Design is proceeding on that. We're working with our environmental department, Tom's group, for lack of a better word, for information that they need to get the 404 permits that we have to work on the project. We've been working with Ozark Electric and Cherry Tree Water on some utility relocation plans, and still trying to work out the details with Oklahoma Department of Wildlife Conservation to get access through them to get the road built. So things are moving, things are happening. We are working on it and moving forward with it. And one last thing, I promise this is the last one. Sequoia High School, I don't know if you guys are aware, but it was the traffic signal out there was hit and damaged by a vehicle on November 25th. That evening, it was a Saturday evening, a vehicle truck ran into it, took the light pole completely out. We were able to work with the contractor that originally installed it back in 2014. They came in on, I believe it was Monday, after it got hit on Saturday night. Came in on Monday, drilled a new anchor unit just next to the old anchor unit that was there, because it busted it all up. The concrete busted all up. They did set a day or so later, set a new pole, and had that thing back in operation by the 29th. So it was hit on the 25th and back in operation on the 29th. So very, very glad that it was got back in service so quickly. And just fortunate that when we called the contractor that put it in, that he had a pole, existing pole in his yard that we were able to use. Otherwise, it would have been about an 8-week delay getting one in. So yeah, we were very excited about that. So, Mr. Chair, that is my report, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Harley.
Michael, and I think he may have addressed the Leach Kenwood Road already. Did they say when they may start doing the paving on that particular road?
I'm waiting to get a schedule back
Okay.
from the contractor on that. We were supposed to receive one here a while back, but he hoped to get me something today. As soon as I get something, I will. I know we've got a landowner out there that is a resident, I should say, that is concerned about it, and I'll get a response to that landowner.
On the traffic light up here at Sequoia, are we responsible for the maintenance on it, or is it ODOT?
We are, when Cherokee Nation agreed to maintain that light when we put it in, ODOT, anytime they put even in overhead lights that go down the state highway, they'll whoever the local entity is, they'll make them sign a maintenance agreement to maintain those lights. If a bulb goes out, that local ODOT's not responsible, the entity is responsible for getting that repaired. So in this case, yes, the nation is responsible for that light, is why we had to step in and take care of it.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Go ahead.
Michael, do we have any input in the development at South Ridge?
That is not one of my projects, but it is a C&E project, as I understand it, C&E, C&B. So I don't have any direct involvement with it at all, but I could certainly put you in contact with the folks
Do you
that
know
do.
who has the contract?
Contec, I believe, is the contractor.
Okay.
Contec.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Harley, yes, sir.
What are they, do you know what they're doing out there, Michael? I came by there, but I couldn't figure out.
I do, to an extent. There's some widening along the highway there. I think there's going to be some acceleration and deceleration lanes put in on the highway. The intersection going into our property is going to be widened considerably. I think there's going to be some double turn lanes going out of that property to get traffic out of there. And then on the South Ridge side of the highway, I think it's going to be a similar, maybe not quite the magnitude of what's going to happen on our property, but similar over on the southern side. Maybe a double turn lane headed northbound out of there. I have seen the plans. I don't recall exactly what the configuration is, but there's going to be some major improvements on both sides of the highway as well as the highway itself. So should improve traffic flow considerably.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you all. You all have a Merry Christmas.
You too, Mike. Mr. Cooper.
Good afternoon, everyone. Before I forget, I want to wish all of y'all and your family a Merry Christmas. It's hard to believe it's already Christmas time, but it's here. The year's almost over with. So we're working on quite a few things. One of the things I do want to mention is, again, we'll have possibly a few openings open up on the college housing program. What's, some people inadvertently call dorm assistance, but it's college housing is what we call it over there. There are NAHASA eligibility guidelines, but usually we have a few students who have graduated this fall, so we may have a few slots open up. So if you did have someone who missed out and think they might be eligible, they can contact our office, or we will also, if we have some spots open up, we'll let you know when those are available. And when we'll be taking applications for them. I might just mention too, as far as a couple of things we're following over on the federal level. The House, surprisingly, is getting ready to consider some NAHASA reauthorization. I got notice that tomorrow the House Financial Services Committee is scheduling markup for NAHASA reauthorization. As I mentioned before, you hear me talk about it from time to time. NAHASA is one of those programs that the last authorization expired in 2013. We'll give it to the House that they have been able to pass in the last two Congresses, two reauthorization bills, so this would be the third time. And this reauthorization bill looks to be almost pretty similar to the last two that have come out. So we'll see what tomorrow holds and follow that and see if there's any significant changes to that reauthorization legislation. Of course, we are waiting to see what happens whenever it comes to the federal budget, if and when they ever do pass that. We hope that they can get something done, because right now, just like with all other programs, we're just operating under continuing resolution. So this year's funding hasn't come in and won't come in until they actually pass an authorization bill. So just a couple of things I wanted to update you on. I think those are the main things that I can think of. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer those.
Any questions?
I just have a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Thanks, sir. Vanita houses are looking wonderful.
They are
They've ripped
coming
us up,
along.
almost up, and everybody's real excited, especially.
Thank you, ma'am. And you are welcome. And I think that we're looking at sometime after the first of the year.
Good.
Coming along really good. Weather is really cooperated with us.
And then you'll build 11 more, right?
Somewhere.
You've already got your, the rest of us
Just
won't.
11.
Any other questions?
Building trade contact.
So you pointing at Courtney?
Oh, no. He was asking me a question real quietly, and I was just telling him who to talk to.
Back there's Duncan.
Yeah, they're all good. I guess that's it, Gary.
Thank you, sir. And if y'all have any questions come up, just give me a call or reach out to me, and I'll get back with you as soon as I can.
Anna Knight.
Anna, always got good news.
Good afternoon. You should have a copy of my report. I do have some draft numbers that have been requested on the IDA and the matching funds if we were to continue to fund at the current applications at the previous levels. And in the draft calculations, it's about $4 million is what we would need to fund everybody. And I will leave a copy of the draft with the speaker for his review and to distribute to the council. I've provided a few different scenarios, and it basically looks like it's going to take about 3 years to fund all the MAP applications we have right now, and about 1.5 years to fund all the IDA at the current rate the tiered rate. So the demand for the program is just much greater than the funding is. I'm happy
Thank you
to.
for that. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
I
I'm
haven't
gonna,
seen it yet, but we'll disseminate it out.
I'm gonna pass out also the VITA preparation schedule for the areas. So we'll also give this out to all the employees, and we'll start posting it in all the area offices. But this is when we'll be doing the tax preparation for the people starting in January. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
So right now, with the current applications that we have, we've got about 3 years to process those or to fulfill those.
It'll take us that long to fulfill the MAP applications and 1.5 years to fulfill the IDA applications.
We'll get that information disseminated out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have one question. I see these locations. Well, you're not going to hit Tulsa?
We do not, because there are several volunteer tax preparation sites already in Tulsa.
Would you mind emailing those to me?
I will.
I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you. ICW? Don't see anyone, I don't think. Okay, thank you. Rob Doherty, I see him.
Count on Rob. Rob,
See what you got?
Rob will get you next.
The hellistan isti jo. Merry Christmas.
What does that mean? Interpret that for us.
Uli hellis, just a joyful time, and isti jo. As I understand it, is
Shooting.
shooting guns.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Long time ago, we either used to shoot them to each other or up in the air. I haven't figured out that one yet. So, but that's what Christmas means, is shooting guns. That's beyond me. I don't know. So, Showing to God. You have your report in front of you. This is usually November, December, January is really super slow for us. A lot of the communities don't meet as much in terms of, and our training kind of goes down, so the numbers reflect that. One of the things I do want to highlight is, and this was as much fun for our CCO staff as it was a good time for the veterans. They've started something, and it's called just an old-fashioned bingo night. We had that a couple of weeks ago. I think we had about 30 people there. The veterans and we had a $36 Yeti cup sitting there, and whoever won, that was one of the last things to go. Pound can of coffee, big deal of toilet paper went before that Yeti cup. That's the old fashions there.
First things first.
Yes, the needs first. So, and I think the next one is our local council reps are sponsoring it, as I understand.
Yeah.
It is really something for the veterans. We wanted to be the first ones to do that, and a lot of all of our community members, and they started anyway. All the numbers here reflect kind of a slow month. November, December, we see that quite a bit. Our numbers go down, but that's understandable. They have a lot of dinners, a lot of Christmas parties going on. So, and we understand that's the time everybody pretty much rests anyway. So, any questions at all that I can try to answer?
Yes.
Hey, Rob, we really appreciate you taking the lead in doing that on that night. There's 2 or 3 parades going on that night, but I heard you had a good crowd. One of the things that, and you can help me with this, we may have to come back to this committee, is that Veterans Building doesn't have a cook stove.
That's right.
And of all the these guys want to prepare breakfast for some of the veterans and just coffee and things. And I was surprised that building, we got $2.7 million in there, and it doesn't even have a cook stove in there. Indians can't survive very long without a cook stove.
That's true. Because we were teasing them, because they were going back and forth to the community room to heat up whatever they had to fix and so forth. Yeah, that's true. That is true.
We'll have to get, hey, Canaan, we'll have to get with Bruce Davis and see what one would cost to put in that Veterans Building. That'd be a good gesture.
We'll
for
do
us.
what we can do to.
But that was good. Heard good things about that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, the new person, what we call the New Knee Club, Delaware County. Harley Bud's got a new knee, and I got one here a while back, so. Some of y'all's next, so.
Mean Wives.
Any, I'm sorry?
Mean Wives Club. Mean Wives Club.
Skookie, you got?
That's it.
Thank you.
Oh, dadgone it, I knew you was gonna say that.
Asked him who won the ball game.
Oh, he said, wait, baseball. No, wait a minute. You got it.
Which one are you talking about?
No old business, no new business. Any announcements? To the next meeting, we had a really good lunch today. Thank the speaker and the girls for putting this together. And the speaker even treated us to a new vest. I appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Try to get you a coat by the end of the year.
Yeah. Rex talked him into something.
You know, the staff, you know, truly, before we go to our council meeting, they really worked hard to put this together. You know, we've got a big day tomorrow for those of you that can make it. Last time, I think we served 800 plus that came through to eat with us. So it's a long day. Anybody that can make it, appreciate you guys. Bringing your apron and handing out food for a while. Everybody, you're welcome.
If you don't bring an apron, you don't have to serve.
I have two.
Yeah,
Victoria
Victoria
has
has
some extras. I brought 2 aprons. Gail will find you. We share.
Next meeting Monday, December 15th at 4 o'clock.
No. Second.
It's a misprint.
It's a misprint. January 15th at 4 o'clock. Excuse me. Well, I just
Make a
remembered that.
motion, we adjourn.
Make a motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.